Can you walk us through a story where a law firm brought you in and within a few months saw measurable improvement in lead quality, brand clarity, or internal execution?
Yeah. Well, we've had examples on all of that. We had a probate firm that we were able to get to rank nationally in terms of their content. Because one of the reasons Google will rank you, even in your locale, is based on your national rank. So when your content and your blogs are ranking nationally, it helps you locally. I think they were doing 15 to 30 qualified leads per month, and we got them to 600. It was in about a 9 to 12 month time frame.
If you're an aggressive, growth minded attorney looking to transform your law firm into a thriving business, you're in the right place. Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated exclusively to aggressive, growth minded attorneys. Each episode will deliver actionable strategies and insights to help you attract ideal clients, scale your law firm, and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Josh Konigsberg.
Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, where aggressive, growth minded attorneys discover proven strategies to transform their law firms into thriving businesses. A special thank you to our sponsor, Law Firm Marketing Pros. They get you more leads, more clients, and more profits. I'm your host, Josh Konigsberg. Let's get aggressive. Hey, Josh Konigsberg back with another exciting episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Today, I'm super excited to have as my guest Stuart Foster from law firm Fractional CMOs, where they focus exclusively on one thing: helping law firms achieve sustainable, accelerated growth through cutting-edge law firm marketing. They embed a seasoned fractional CMO into the leadership team at the law firm that provides strategic oversight, planning, and execution that most firms need. And I can tell you from experience, that's a true statement, Stuart. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
So you started working across multiple industries, but then built this company specifically for law firms. What gaps did you see in the legal space that made you commit to solving that problem for them?
You know, when we got into this, like probably a lot of people getting into the service side of law firms, I think the operations and the marketing side of the law firm industry is if not a decade, maybe more so behind other industries in terms of its sophistication. And when we fell into this, we started working with some law firms and realized that they were executing marketing plans that were dependent on really one or two things: SEO, maybe a little pay per click, LSAs, some good digital marketing, but not really a holistic strategy and a holistic marketing plan. And they're and in many cases they were using some really outdated tactics like broadcast television, something that's 30 years old, or the billboards where we all know and love. Are those vanity plays, or those really helping grow branding? Um, all of these things have a role, but there's just a lot more sophistication that's come into marketing. And if you follow, I mean, take today where SEO is now AEO, answer engine optimization seems to be the leading term now for the chat GPTs and the Geminis. Um, it's changing hourly. It's changing by the minute. And to be able to keep up with it um, I think, where the law firm space really didn't look was outside of law firms. In all the businesses I've ever been involved in, I've never looked at my direct competitors for advice or guidance on what I should be doing. I looked at parallel businesses that are similar but different. And so my partners and I started this business. We were working in professional services. We worked in for a lot of other professional services businesses, other B2C businesses, really any business that is dependent on search, is dependent on immediate need, but on getting lots of individual clients, right? That's what we're doing. And what we found was that the law firm space was not really using best practices. And we saw an opportunity to bring some better practices from outside.
I smile because it's so funny. That's exactly what we see with all the billboards basically being exactly the same, or all the PPC ads looking exactly the same. It becomes just a commoditized service that gets lost in this sea of sameness, right? So
It is.
I
The differentiation piece is one of the big pieces of what we do, and it's
yeah.
often where we start. How are you differentiating your brand from your competitors? And when I see things like, you don't pay until we win big, injured question mark, all these things in the PI space, it's table stakes. And I know I challenge attorneys, how are you different? Why should I, as an injured person or a need, hire your firm versus the next guy down the street? And I'm usually not overly surprised, but continually frustrated with the answers that I get back, which just aren't one. And no fault really of the attorneys. The attorneys aren't versed in marketing. They're not versed in branding. And I use this analogy a lot. I used it again today with an attorney I was talking to, and I said, Imagine if I was trying to argue my own case. I'm a CMO, and I go to ChatGPT and I ask it how to prepare my case, and I go to some conferences and try to learn how to be a better be a lawyer. I mean, that's what a lot of attorneys are trying to do with marketing. And bless their heart, they're passionate and they really want to learn, but why not hire someone who's been doing this for 20 or 30 years, has tried, failed, tried again, corrected, and learned over a long period of time in the same way you have as a successful trial attorney. You weren't great on day one. It took years to build your craft. Same with marketing. It's just that marketing has gotten so technical, so um, the digital technology is so intricate. I think it's one of the most complicated disciplines in the C-suite.
I I agree, and I've had that exact same conversation with coaches who won't touch marketing for that reason, right?
Right.
So to move on to my next question, so you're not an agency and you don't replace an in-house marketer or you don't replace an agency, right?
No.
What exactly does a fractional CMO do, and how is that different from what most law firms are used to having?
Most law firms start with execution, right? It's like, you know, it, it's like if you have a hammer in your hand, you're going to be looking for nails, right? So they start with execution. They start with SEO. They start with changing the web design. They start with different ads or PPC or LSAs. They're starting with the end game. You've got to start the beginning. What do you try? You got to start with a business plan. So the fractional CMO has a much more strategic approach than an agency. We start with the business plan. What kind of business do you want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? What kinds of cases? What segments? What geographies? How do you think you're going to get there? We're not even talking about marketing yet. We're talking about you as a business, right? So we're very experienced in the business strategy, even before marketing strategy. Then we help build the marketing strategy to deliver against that business strategy. And then we get to the execution. And we work with agencies. We love agencies. We need them. There's a lot of very technical expertise. And I like agencies that specialize. I like really good SEO agencies. I like really good web agencies. Those two are not always the same. Those are different capabilities and different skill sets. Managing paid campaigns, your LSAs, your pay per click, or programmatic TV, whatever it may be, is also a different discipline. So I like to have very specialized resources supporting us. You can have different technologies, the chatbots you put on your website. There's different options. Which one's the right one? So the fractional CMO is overseeing the entire strategy, building that strategy, and then making decisions and managing a lot of that execution. Now, all of CMOs have they've rolled up their sleeves, they've been in the trenches, they've done this. I like to say we speak agency, we speak Google, we speak a lot of this technical language. And so we're able to get things done faster and more quickly and make decisions. But we are, in effect, your insourced head of marketing to run all things marketing for the firm, as opposed to just the execution.
So is there a range of revenue or fee income for a firm? I use the term fee income because for personal injury, obviously the
Yeah.
fee for the elements you said.
So there are different levels of investment required to bring on a fractional CMO. there are a lot of single fractional CMOs out there who are very cheap. In my experience, most of them are just actually executing. They're working for 12, 15, 20 clients at a time. They're not doing strategy. They can't in that amount of time. If you're working for 15 clients a week, how much time are you actually dedicating? Right. Our CMOs, they don't work for more than 3. It's about 30% of their time per client. So the range of cost can be broad. We tend to be on the higher end. Why? Because we deliver, right? When people ask me like, "Are you expensive?" I say, "Yeah," because we're going to drive the growth. When it makes sense, you've got to look at we look at a couple of things. What's the total revenue of the firm, and what's the right amount and comfort level the partner or the owner has in investing in the growth in their future? Is that 5%? Is that 15%? Right? Gross revenue. It's usually somewhere between there. What are they spending currently is another question I like to know. If you're spending north of $500,000 a year in marketing, it's worthwhile having a fractional CMO.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're spending below that, it may not be worth the investment. So we have clients that have 1 or 2 attorneys. They're doing $1 or $2 million in revenue, and they've hired us. Why? Because they want to be at 10 million and they want to be there in 15 months.
That's right.
Right. So we pitch ours, we don't have fees. We have an investment schedule.
I love
Call
it.
that marketing, if you will. But our fees are an investment, and we usually become break even after about 2 months.
Wow.
And then by about month 5, we start to see that 2-to-1, 3-to-1 return on our fees happening. And then by month 9 or so, it's usually closer to 5x.
So you see this and I see this. We see it from different perspectives. So a lot of law firms are investing in vendors, SEO or ads. What I'll see is they're investing in maybe a fractional CMO who's a kid, just
a digital marketer. Yeah.
What we see is they get stuck. So usually what do you see an underlying theme on what's missing when the needle's not moving? Because I know what I see.
Well, there's rarely one thing, but I'll start with one. There's usually a wrong allocation of investment from their marketing spend. It's highly dependent on one thing. We go in and we audit. We have been seeing anywhere from 30 to 50% waste. And when I say waste, I mean money we're seeing being spent, and we can't identify any tangible return on that spend. We can turn it off, and the amount of cases coming in doesn't change. That's waste. Right. Broadcast TV is a big one. Billboards are a big one. But so is PPC if you're not doing it the right way. So is the fees. So can be the fees to an SEO firm. Sure. There are SEO firms that are charging $30,000 a month to firms, and if you don't see the return, so you need to build a dashboard and an understanding from the available business in the market. You can measure that on search volume. You can measure that on population size. You can look at number of accidents. There's a lot of ways you can measure demand, all the way through how much of that do you capture and how much of that do you close.
We call it TAM.
If you don't have a full view of that through a series of dashboards, then I'll guarantee you're wasting money.
Why is that kind of structure important, and what changes mostly inside of a law firm over that timeline beyond just lead flow?
Yeah. I think the biggest difference in our approach to marketing transformation is our assessment and audit. It's the first phase. So we go through 4 phases. We start with an assessment and audit. We audit, and this can take up to 8 weeks for us to do. It's really in depth. This is not just, how is your website performance doing and does it check out with Google on its functionality? We audit your current clients. Where are they coming from? Who are more valuable than others? Which ones are you not getting? We look at the TAM. We look at the search volume. We look at your competitors. We look at your branding. How are you positioned versus your competitors? We look at your current activities. Where are you spending? What's producing cases? What's not? What do we not know? Do you have good data through all of this, or do we have huge holes in the data? You asked what's missing before. That's really the biggest thing is having someone who knows where to look and find the data and piece the pieces together. We look at your intake process. You may be capturing a lot of leads and you may be losing a lot of them in your intake process. So there's a lot in that assessment and audit. And in my experience, particularly when you're working with just an agency, they're not doing those. They don't start there. It's not what you're paying them for, right? You're paying them for execution. If you ask a website agency how to grow your law firm, they're going to tell you need a new website. If you ask a SEO agency how to grow your law firm, they're going to tell you that you need to deploy their methodology of SEO. And while both of those things might be part of the executional plan, unless you do that assessment and audit and start with a business plan that gets you there, and that's what these masterminds are doing now, and the firms that are following the really good mastermind programs are being successful. And it's good basic business management to start with a business plan, because your marketing plan, if it's not tied to business, it's random acts of marketing. You're just trying this and trying that, and this doesn't work, so you move to that. The number of times I've seen an attorney fire an agency because they didn't like the way the performance of an agency. And what usually happens is the new agency performs exactly the same, and they're frustrated. The issue isn't the agency. The issue is the lack of strategy. It's the lack of tying it back to business results. And so you need someone who's looking at the whole system of marketing. What people don't realize where the term marketing came from, the market, right? That's what it's about. It's about how do you take your business or product to a market and capture part of the market. Marketing is not the shiny executional side of ads or posts or articles. These are just tactics. The discipline of marketing is bringing your business to market. And so the market is if you're in PI, it's all the people that have been injured in a particular way, in a particular, practice area. And so how do you position yourself to that market and then capture that business?
It's amazing. Again, the similarities and everything that you're talking about is the exact reason why we created the law firm client generation system. So, because what we talk about, we see it all the time I'm a coach to other agencies. I actually just finished my coaching call this afternoon. And the number one thing I see is they all take, when they first join the group is, and I'm not the sole coach, I'm part of an agency group of 350 agencies worldwide. And they all take a tactical approach.
Yeah.
And again, that's ground up. And so, we take a strategic approach when we look at it. So, but I digress a little bit. It's amazing.
Yeah. Execution without strategy is chaos.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
And strategy without execution is a pipe dream.
That's right. That's right. So well said. Yeah.
So look, I've been head of marketing for some major multinational companies, and what's fascinating to me about the law firm space is it's the first vertical that I've worked in, and now I'm getting quite deep in it, where you have 10, 20, $50 million businesses. And I'm not even talking about the 100 and the $300 million really big successful law firms, but 20 to $50 million businesses that don't have a chief marketing officer. They don't have a chief operating officer. They don't have a chief financial officer. They don't have a core C-suite of operations. And it's because law firms grew from a place where they were largely single practitioners, the majority of them. They weren't big businesses. They didn't operate their business like a business. They operated it like a law firm. And the first thing I think a successful lawyer can do is recognize that he or she needs a bench of the C-suite that any $20 to $50 million company would have. Now, the beauty of the fractional world is that it's exploded since COVID. Why? Because of this. Because we can work virtually, we can work remotely. And what it's allowed is now law firms have access to the kind of talent we have, 20-year veterans in marketing who've worked for tens, if not hundreds of companies that they could not afford to hire. They wouldn't know how to hire them or where to find them because they might live in a different city. And now they can hire a fraction of their time for a fraction of what it would cost to hire a full-time CMO. It doesn't make sense for a $10 million law firm or even a $5 million law firm to hire a full-time CMO. And this is one of the big mistakes they make is if you get a CMO, a fractional CMO who's offering to work for you for $2,000 a month, or $3,000 a month, go to their LinkedIn profile and go just one or two positions before their title of CMO and look at what their title was. Were they a manager? Were they an account supervisor at an agency? Or have they actually run a marketing department, built a marketing organization, put it in place, hired people at a larger scale business where they can bring that knowledge, bring that expertise to your smaller business? If the answer is no, you might want to look further.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thanks for sharing. So every marketing plan reaches its maximum potential, right? You'll hit a ceiling. At what point should an aggressive growth-minded attorney be watching for those signals that it's time to evolve to the next level?
I don't believe in actually what you just said.
Okay.
I think that actually it's constantly evolving. When I got into marketing 30 years ago, we did annual brand plans, annual marketing plans. Well, there were three channels back then. It was television, newspaper, and magazines, pretty much, and radio, right? Now you have so many different channels, and it's so fast, and the algorithms are changing so fast that I believe in 3 month sprints. I think that that's sort of a good amount of time. There's things you do shorter. There's some things you can look at longer, but for the most part, I like 3 month plans. You work on it, you optimize it, you get it going, and then you work on the next 3 months. So you're constantly working on that next level. Now, so if you do that right and you don't say, hey, let's keep this, train running at 55 miles per hour for the next 18 months, I don't think you'll ever get to a plateau where you are challenged on the next level, because you're looking at the 3 month sprint and then you're challenging yourself. Is the next one consistent, or is it different, or should we upscale it even more? So you're constantly evolving, you're constantly looking at what you're doing, and that should lead to a continuous improvement of performance to where you then go back and look and go, oh my God, in 24 months or 36 months, we have come so far. And what we're executing today, we could never have envisioned 36 months ago,
Right.
or even 12 months ago. So you got to have a much shorter time cycle on your marketing plans and execution. Now, you can plan annually, but I think you've got to execute, essentially quarterly on a 3 month sprint.
To just further clarify my statement. So what I've seen is that if they stay with the same plan year over year without enhancing and evolving, as you say, I call it enhancing what they're doing. That's that. So I guess what I was looking for is there a signal, and with the way you do it, they're constantly evolving every 90 days. So it's not relevant.
Right. I mean, the signal is measuring your growth, right? So we measure success, one signed case at a time. What we like to do is build out a forecast potentially of, say, 6 months, what we think the 6 month spending should be, what the corresponding case sign up should be. But every month we're checking it. The minute we increase a little bit of spend and those cases don't correspondingly increase, they stay flat. Ooh, time to check what's going on. Why didn't that pull along? It should pull along. Now, it may do it for 1 month. Sometimes you can increase spend and you go down. Okay, let's check. Maybe it bounces back. So you're constantly looking, constantly evaluating. But the minute you start going into 3-4 months of flat growth, I think that's the time to say, hold on a second, maybe we need to really assess this differently. And that's why that assessment and audit is so important that I mentioned. So the first thing we do with firms is we come in and we do that big assessment and audit. And we'll do just that for some firms. It's like, I call it the EKG and the blood work of your annual physical, right? You go to an annual physical and they take your blood pressure, they weigh you, they ask you if you feel okay, they tap the thing on your knee, which reflexes, and they go, great, you're healthy, come back, Josh, in another year. What have you learned? Nothing.
Right.
You do an EKG, you do blood work, right? And all the other tests now are much more sophisticated. Same with marketing. You should do if you're not annually doing kind of a deep dive audit on your marketing spend, then you're probably wasting somewhere between 30 to 50% of your marketing spend.
Wow, good stuff. So A lot of law firm owners struggle with what we call shiny object syndrome. I'm sure you've seen it. So, they're chasing the next great tool or tactic. So, why is that dangerous? And how do you help firms refocus on what actually drives results?
That's a great question. I love innovation. We love it. We love to try new things, but we test. And I'll give you a great example. We're big believers in connected TV. A lot of people don't know what connected TV is. So 30 years ago, you had broadcast TV where there were three networks and you broadcast and you bought ads you bought a time of day, you bought a show, you thought you were buying an audience, you weren't sure because you didn't really know who was watching, but Nielsen might have told you who they thought was watching afterwards, right? That was old TV. 10 years ago, we moved to what people called OTT, over the top. It's because we had set boxes and you didn't want to be necessarily on broadcast. You wanted to be able to go across all the cable channels. So you were buying demographics. And again, there were more sophisticated ways of knowing who was watching what shows. But that's still a very 10-year-old thing. And in most cases, when law firms are buying connected TV, they're being sold OTT. They're just being sold evening news, or they're being sold this sports channel, what have you. Connected TV today is the ability to place an ad on a television device. So I say that word intentionally because it's just like another iPad in your home. It's another device in your home. And I can put an ad, Josh, on your television and not your neighbor on the left side, nor your neighbor on the right side, because you searched for personal injury lawyer near me, or you watched a video on my YouTube channel, or you visited a competitor's website. So I can target your behavior. And based on that behavior, I can put an ad I can put it in your Instagram feed, your Facebook feed. I can put banners on your website. I can put in-app ads inside Waze if I wanted to. But I can also put it on your television. And that is sort of the future. So we've been transferring a lot of our clients away from broadcast TV to this programmatic retargeting. And there are a few companies that do this, a few different platforms. And what we like to do rather than chase that shiny object is we A/B test them against each other. So we'll take the money and say we want to spend, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 a month on that versus 50, 70,000 on broadcast TV. But we'll put 10 on one platform and 10 on the other, right? And so I love to A/B test new shiny objects before, and I do it at a reduced spend because I want to see it prove itself before we throw the money at it. So whenever you go at something new and shiny, it may sound great, and someone else may have had great success. We've had law firms where we've deployed this. It's been hugely successful. We've had another firm where maybe it wasn't so successful. Immediate question is why? Not that it's a bad platform, not that it was a shiny object, but why does it work here when it doesn't work there? And so you need someone very versed in the technology, very versed in the data, who has experience in this space. This is why a fractional CMO is valuable, to be able to understand and evaluate it and check it out. Lawyers don't have time for this, right? And so that's how we address the shiny. But I also believe in an adage I learned years ago: plan your work and work the plan. It's just like going to court. When you get a client, you don't rush up the steps of the courthouse and start pounding on the judge's desk, right? For a verdict. Of course, that would be highly unsuccessful. You plan, you do your work, you do your homework, you collect your documents, you get your doctors involved, right? You get all of this. And so you've got to plan your work and be thorough in the planning so that you when things don't work, you can go back and check. It's like an architectural drawing of an engine. If you have really good design and then the engine doesn't seem to be working, you can go back and problem solve it. So plan your work and work the plan and stay with the plan. Don't give up on the plan too early. We get a lot of attorneys who after 1 week are going, oh no, let's stop. It doesn't work. Change it, end it. It didn't work.
Right.
And I say,
right.
Well, I had the 12-month, 3-month sprint conversation at the same time. Don't change things every week. Don't change things every month. Stick with the plan, but make sure your plan is well intended and well researched.
Right. So it can be so frustrating. Right. So So once a firm stops that jumping from shiny object to shiny object or from vendor to vendor, which we see, right? And they lock in that strategy. So what changes most? Either is it results? Is it team clarity? Is it leadership confidence or all of the above?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of those things, right? But it's at the end of the day, it's about intentional growth. It's knowing where you want to go and watching yourself get there, right? In the past, they didn't really know, I've asked a lot of attorneys, what's your growth? What do you want for growth? And the answer is something like more cases, or I want the phone to ring more. I've heard that a lot, right? More signed cases. Well, that doesn't help me. What kind of signed cases? How many? In what time period? Right. So I ask a lot of questions with prospective clients about how many cases are you signing today? How many do you want to be signing a year from now? Can you handle that growth? Right? Do you have access? Are you ready for the downstream work? Are you using the latest AI tools for intake and case management? Because if I take you, we just took a firm from 60 to 200 cases per month, and
Wow.
it took us 9 months to get there.
Amazing.
They had all their ducks in a row. They had heavy level of spend. They had clarity on their brand positioning. They had already been at 200, so it was about getting them back. So we had all the pieces. We just had to put the right plan in place. We got them to 200, and they said, "Stop, turn it off. We can't handle it," because they had gotten rid of staff when they were at the 60 case level, and now they couldn't handle it. Well, there are a lot better tools today. There's a lot of great AI tools to help you with case management, so you don't need to be hiring as many people. As the adage say, I believe that the types of people that law firms need to hire is there are fewer people. There's more AI tools, but they'll be hiring more lawyers, right? And you'll be hiring more marketing people. You'll be hiring more ops people. You'll be hiring more finance people, but fewer paralegals, fewer demand letter writers. All these sort of process jobs because the AI tools are getting better at that. So, but if we were sort of like, well, you told us you wanted to get to 200, we got you there. How did you not plan for the downstream effect for this? And so we help them through that, and we introduce some tools, and sometimes it could be funding options and things like that. But plan it, right? If you have that intentional growth and track it along the way, then nothing's a surprise, and you'll see it happening. It'll be reassuring.
So good stuff, and congratulations on that success story. Amazing. Can you walk us through a story where a law firm brought you in and within a few months saw measurable improvement in lead quality, brand clarity, or internal execution?
Yeah. Well, we've had examples on all of that. We had a firm that brought us on. We did a huge audit for them. Their marketing function had a lot of, I would say, areas for improvement, opportunities for improvement. But the biggest one that was most glaring was intake. And so actually we dedicated the first 5 months to fixing their intake. And they were losing leads that they had already gained through their very expensive marketing. It's a firm that's spending multiple millions of dollars a year in marketing, and they were losing an enormous amount of leads. So we focused, on the intake. We've had other firms where we've weaned them off of expensive television, spending $60,000 a month, bring them down to $25,000 to $30,000 a month using that programmatic retargeting, and we quadrupled the number of leads that was generating. We've had a probate firm that we also work outside of the PI space. We had a probate firm that we were able to get to rank nationally in terms of their content. Why is that important? They said, and they asked us, "Well, we only operate in this one market. We don't want to rank nationally." And we had to teach them that you actually do, because one of the reasons Google will rank you, even in your locale, is based on your national rank. So when your content and your blogs are ranking nationally, it helps you locally.
That's right.
So that was one where the content and the SEO worked dramatically to grow it grew leads from, I think they were doing 15 to 30 qualified leads per month, and we got them to 600. It was in about a 9 to 12 month time frame, and it was by helping them reassess the way they're doing SEO.
again, amazing results. And I know how hard it is to rank content nationally. So amazing, good stuff. So with the AI, video, and the automation all evolving so fast, as you had mentioned, right? How are you helping law firms adopt the right tools without getting distracted by all the noise?
That's an ever evolving one. There's so many new tools out there. Again, we test them. Whenever we bring on a new vendor or a new technology, we don't just say sort of vet them and say, all right, all our clients should start using this. We go to one client, he's like, let's test this here. They're most in need. It's the best testing environment. All right, come on, partner. We're going to try you out. We're going to go into this one client. If you work here, we've got many other clients. So there's an attraction, right? They want to be in all our clients, but we're not going to introduce them until we test them. So that's how we're approaching a lot of the AI tools. Um, we are in process of testing an AI tool right now that's dramatically shortening the amount of time that it takes to develop, write, publish, and execute articles, SEO and AEO optimized articles, where it goes from this 2 per month, 3 per month that you hear from SEO agencies. Why is that the right cadence? If I ask 10 people why the cadence is 2 or 3 per month, I'm going to get 10 different answers. My personal feeling is it's been the capacity of those agencies to actually produce the content. Right? So you're limited by humans. You move that to AI, and the tool we're testing right now is turning that to 50 within a week. Imagine 50 articles within a week that dramatically boosts your SEO. We have that capability now. Now we're testing it. And so with all these tools, again, you've got to walk before you run.
Yeah, right. So we've tested some of that as well, and again, it's changing so fast. We did really well with ranking for a while, and then we got a Google smack on it, and it all
Exactly.
disappeared. And so you got to be very careful with that. So
Yeah.
um,
It's just going to get faster and faster because this platform that I was just mentioning that we're testing, if you think about the human's ability to adapt to Google's changes, to AEO changes, right, to ChatGPT changes now and Gemini, like how are they learning? Well, frankly, amongst us and all the agencies that we work closely with, everyone's scrambling. We're all trying to
Yep.
figure it out,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But
Mhm.
we're limited by our time. We don't work 24 hours a day, right? We have to eat and sleep at some point. So imagine if you have an AI tool that's constantly learning off the changes and constantly evolving what good SEO means and how it works. It can happen exponentially, which then means that then the algorithms in those tools like ChatGPT and Gemini are going to change faster, and then our AI tools are going to have to change faster, and it's going to become just like lightning. It's going to spiral to a place where humans won't be able to keep up.
That's right. I was listening to Elon on Rogan just yesterday, and to, talking about all this stuff. So
And it's fascinating when I was reading about Elon and his thoughts on cancer, right? Like we've been trying to find a cure for cancer, types of cancers for decades, but we've been largely reliant on scientists and their testing capabilities and their research capabilities, along with the machines they use. But now you put AI into that, and you can turn it on 24/7, and you know just infinitely increase the speed of the testing and learning that Elon believes we will find a cure to cancer in our lifetime, which would be amazing.
oh, for sure. We're going to see 300 years of scientific and medical advancement in the next 5 to 10 years. So, but we digress. Okay. So, Stuart, based on your experience helping law firms shift from reactive to strategic, which I think is a really good way to look at it, right? What final nuggets of wisdom can you share with the aggressive, growth minded attorneys listening today who want to scale without all the chaos?
The first step is know what you don't know. The best clients we work with are the ones that actually say that to me. They say, I know what I don't know. And a lot of lawyers won't admit what they don't know. Stop trying to be a marketer, stop trying to catch up, and spend some time on due diligence on finding a partner who is that knowledgeable um, lead generator marketer, and have them be responsible, but hold them accountable, right? Well, what I love about the fractional CMO model is, and I tell this to our prospective clients, it gives you one throat to choke. Okay, there is one person who in the mind share of you as the managing attorney or the owner of the firm, you have one person to go to say, how's my marketing doing, or why isn't this working, or why don't I don't like this, or I don't like that. So you can have as much involvement, but you've got a spearheaded person to do that. So stop trying to solve it yourself. That to me is the biggest mind share shift that attorneys need to make, and recognize that they need to start thinking about running their business like a business. And they're going to need a COO. I think that's more and more getting pretty common. CFOs, less so. When I meet heads of operations, I hear a lot of, I do HR, I do finance, I do intake, and I do marketing. You're not a COO.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And by the way, the person looking at me is like 32 years old.
Yeah, right.
So, right. And I go, okay, so you don't have anybody doing marketing.
Right.
And they're like, please take it off my plate. Please
Yeah, right.
take it off my
Right,
plate.
right.
So recognize what you don't know and build the capability in your own business so you can scale. And you're going to need those core functions of marketing, operations, and finance.
So how big is your team?
Our team is infinitely scalable.
Okay.
Currently, we're working with about 35 firms.
Well, I meant your how many fractional CMOs do you have?
Yeah, we have about 12 to 15 fractional CMOs to handle that level of business, but there is no shortage of fractional CMOs. The question is, where are the good ones? So we're constantly recruiting, training, and bringing them into our system. And so we vet them, we qualify them, and we train them. And I think that's one of the important things that we do differently. But I can take that 15 to 100. We're not limited by the number of people. There are 70,000 people on LinkedIn with the title of fractional CMO. The majority of those people were marketing managers a month ago.
So, all right, now it's time to move on to my favorite part of the AGM Attorney Podcast. And this is where people get to know, like, and trust you a little bit better, as we all know that we do business with people we know, like, and trust. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, just whatever pops to your mind. No right or wrong answer. So, Stuart, what never fails to make you laugh?
Good stand-up comedians. I love to listen to them. And when I take my break from work in the car and errands, I'm listening to all those stand-up comedy channels. So a good stand-up comedian, I love it.
Do you have a favorite one today?
Nate Bargatze right now is high on my list. I love his sort of self-deprecating, demure approach. Yeah. And he can just make me laugh.
Good stuff.
And a good belly laugh is a cure for all the frustrations in your daily job.
Could not agree with you more. So what's the best compliment you ever got?
Was thank you for changing my business. It was a thank you.
Is there a person that you trade places with for a day? They don't have to be alive, anytime and throughout history.
Trade places with for a day. Wow. I always wanted to be Tom Brokaw. And you're kind of helping me here with this little podcast video. But growing up, I wanted to trade places with Tom Brokaw. For those of you maybe younger on this, he was the NBC nightly news anchor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I thought he was a gentleman and wise and really interesting. And I actually looked into going into journalism and then realized that I didn't actually like journalism. I just wanted to be the network anchor reading the news.
Right. So do you have a guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Oh, good stuff. And what is the best gift that you've ever given someone?
Children.
Amazing. Worst piece of advice that you ever got?
Oh, the worst piece of advice. I always remember the best pieces of advice. The worst piece of advice. I can't think of. It's the one thing I can't think of. I probably forget bad advice, so I can't think of.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I think of really good advice when people give it to me.
Yeah, it's a tough question. So, So what is the one thing that you wish you were better at dealing with?
Frustration.
Hmm.
I lose my temper too fast.
Hmm.
And I wish I was better at measuring that. I'm much better at it than I used to be when I was younger.
Mhm.
But when I get frustrated in a situation, I tend to move to action, and then I exhibit my frustration.
Mhm.
So I wish I
Same.
was better.
As you get older and older, you mellow. So,
Maybe that's it.
yeah. So, what was your favorite childhood movie?
Oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, good one. Good one.
I can almost recant it line by line, but
What is the one book that changed your life?
the Bible.
Mm. So good. So tell us something that most people don't know about you.
I've lived in 3 foreign countries. I spoke fluent Portuguese when I was a kid, and I still currently speak pretty good Japanese and pretty fluent French.
Wow. Impressive. So could you tell our listeners what's the best way to contact you to learn more about law firm fractional CMOs?
We have a website. It's lawfirm-cmo.com. That's lawfirm-cmo.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on there. Happy to connect. And if you want to call me, 917-348-1231. Give me a call if you just want to chat, want some advice, happy to chat, or want to learn more about what we do.
Well, Stuart, congratulations on your success. It's been tremendous to hear your journey. I really appreciate having you on as a guest today, and I look forward to having you on again sometime in the near future.
Well, thank you, Josh. This has been a great conversation, and I appreciate you inviting me.
That's a wrap for today's Aggressive Growth Minded Attorney podcast. We look forward to seeing everybody next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Now it's time to put these strategies into action and accelerate your growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.